It is Sunday night bedtime story time. Yay! Okay, people, we are gathered here today. We are gathered here again today. For those of you that are new, welcome. We are glad to have you. For those of you that are familiar with this channel, glad to have you as well. Thank you for the comments and interactions and all of that stuff. I know some of you watch this with your morning coffee. Some of you watch this while you're exercising. Some of you, probably most of you, watch it with your bedtime. But either way, I'm glad you're here. All right, I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. How bad of an idea is this? This is Dave Ramsey. This ran earlier today, bringing you that quality content. So I say, let's hit it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Bill is in Indianapolis. Hi, Bill. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure. What's up?
I want to find out how bad of an idea it would
Trust
be
me,
to...
if you're calling the Dave Ramsey Show, it's a bad idea. I'm just kidding.
My 18-year-old son, my childhood
He wants
home.
to give his 18-year-old son his childhood home. Yeah, that's a bad idea. When you say give it to him, in what aspect? We got to find out what's going on here.
Okay, so you own it free and clear.
Me and my brother.
And
Mom...
Your brother wants to give it to him as well?
Yes, my brother, he's willing to give him his half. I'm willing to give
What's
him
the
my
property
half.
worth?
Roughly right now,
Sounds like it could be a good
100.
little starter home.
Okay.
Remember, this just ran earlier today, so could be a good little starter home. I think the question is, how much responsibility at 18 years old do you want to give a kid? I mean, I wouldn't just hand him the home and say, here, go figure it out. I might assist him with it quite a bit for at least a few years.
Tell me about your son.
A
great kid doesn't mean they're ready to maintain a home, however.
That's for any better kid through school and stuff like that. He has no ambition. He didn't want to go to college, and I wasn't going to push him. Just to send him to beer for 3 or 4 years.
Time. Okay. He has no ambition. Send him to. He doesn't want to go to college, so the dad doesn't want to send him off to drink beer for a few years. Okay, that's good. Now you say you couldn't ask for a better son, and I respect that. Okay, I respect that. However, if you really want to get honest, you might need a little bit more of an ambitious son. It doesn't mean he has to go to college. So don't read it like that. Okay, it doesn't mean he has to go to college. But if you know there's kind of a no ambition, slightly lazy streak to him, now I could be interpreting this wrong. It could be he's saying he has no ambition to go to college, but he's all gung-ho for trade school. But if it's literally, hey, you know what? He just has no ambition, and we're just going to give him this house. Guess what's going to be lost? Probably in just a few years. A kid who has no ambition, if that's what the father is saying, he's not going to take care of the house either.
Oh, with that. What's he do?
So he got him a job working at the same factory where my wife works at.
Mm-hmm. Making what kind of money?
He's 1850, 1875, something like that.
I can tell
you
right now, don't give him the house. Not yet. I would wait unless he proves himself to be a real go-getter. I would wait till he's at least in his mid-20s. Nothing wrong with the work that's being done, working at a factory. Nothing wrong with that. I believe our American economy, the history, factories, okay? Nothing wrong with that. However, let's look at this very honestly. Has he gone out and gotten his own job? I mean, like made his own connections, showed his own ambition. Now, again, I'm not knocking it. We have parents who work at the same place as their kids work at the same place as their parents. I get that. But to just give him a house outright that's paid for, as noble as that is, okay, I'm not sure if I would want to, even with an ambitious child, I'm not sure I'd be ready to do that for an 18-year-old. At 18, you haven't even paid bills yet for 6 months. At 18, you haven't experienced enough responsibility, in my opinion, to take on a house. At 18 years old, okay, there's no way I could have managed a house. Now, that is not to say that there are not some exceptionally outstanding 18-year-olds that could do it. But I don't think the average 18-year-old could. Because the average 18-year-old, what bills has he paid yet? Water bill, electric bill, car insurance bill?
So,
What's he going to do with his life?
Well,
there you
he
go.
doesn't know yet.
And if you don't know what you're going to do with your life, and where you're going to want to park it or move around to, are you sure you want to tie your son down? As good as the intentions are, does his father really want to tie his son down to a house that the son may not even want to live in that city, may not be ambitious enough to keep the house? Is this a bad idea? I don't think it's a horrible, rotten idea. I don't. But I think it's a good idea at the wrong time. Yeah, there. That's a good way to put it. It's a good idea at the wrong time. And if this son truly has, no ambition, like he's the type that looks for the easiest way out, and we all know people like that, right? And again, nothing wrong with working at the same place as his mom, but perhaps we would like to see a little bit more drive, like, I don't know. I don't really want to get too critical on that part, but giving a non-ambitious child the responsibility of a house, no matter how big or small, I don't think it's going to be a story that ends well.
So you led the question, how bad of an idea is it? And I'm not trying to read too much into that, but me thinks
For some
that
reason,
you
that
think
makes
it's a bad
a bad idea. Why do you think it's a bad idea?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I mean, just handing an 18-year-old
with no ambition, who works at a job that his mother is at, basically a factory plant, okay? Which means he is not ambitious enough to say, you know what? I'm going to go find my own job. I'm going to use my own brain, my own resources, and get my own stuff. No, I'm just going to go follow mom. Like, if mom had not worked there, would he have applied there on his own? Probably not.
A house, the financial responsibility.
$18.50 an hour is not enough money, I believe, for an adult, much less an 18-year-old kid, to support a house, a physical square house.
It hasn't had anything done to it since the 80s.
Dear God. And you want this non-ambitious kid to take care of the house on $18.50 an hour. He's never paid a phone bill, an electric bill, an auto insurance bill. Has he ever paid for vehicle tags? Has he experienced that yet? That's why I think apartments are great places for starters. I think apartments are great. It gives teenagers, young adults, because they're not teens anymore, or late teens, 18, 19. It gives young adults a good starting point on this is how we handle our bills. So now we're not thinking of just giving him a house, but a house that hasn't been fixed up since I was in high school. I graduated in 1985. Puts me at 56 today. Man, I bet there's some serious, what is it that we had in the 80s? Is it the plank kind of looking brown walls? Okay, lots of plank type walls. I think that's what it was.
It is stuck in the 60s from when it was built. Wood paneling.
That's it, wood paneling.
Tile ceilings. I mean, honestly, to make it a really good flippable house, I mean, it needs to be gutted.
But he could sell it today for $100K.
I think it would bring $100,000 right now, just the way it sits, needing to be flipped. Yeah.
So really, the thing is, this 18-year-old kid is making $18 at the factory, and we don't know what he's going to do with his life. You're handing him
Oh,
$100,000.
Dave, you know what? Someday when you retire, you better have a big online internet party, because sometimes nobody says it the way Dave does. That's basically what you're doing. You're giving the kid $100,000, saying, "Hey, non-ambitious kid." I don't mean to be harping on that, but here's the thing. Just like his dad said, he goes, "I've got a great son. Couldn't ask for a better son," or something to that effect. At least he's not in trouble with the law.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, see, this is the thing about money, folks. We got to quit using the words like basically. It either is or you're not. Are you in debt? Well, basically, yeah, you're in debt. Okay? We got to say it the way it is. And you notice all the stammering Papa is doing here? That's because Papa knows it's not a good idea. Look, if you're confident in your decisions and you're a confident adult, you don't need to call in to Ramsey to find out if what you're doing is a good idea. When I decided that, man, I was going to break all the rules and get out of debt. Okay, I'm not going to go into that now because it's not really relevant. I've discussed it in past videos, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to ditch my savings account. And even though I have a $100,000, $110,000 student loan, I'm going to break all of Ramsey's rules and I'm going to get a condo. Okay. If I really had not felt confident in what I was doing, hell, my ass would have been on the phone calling and going, should I do this? But you know what? I was absolutely confident. When you are absolutely confident in your abilities, where to the point that, you know what, you don't need approval from somebody, you make your decision and you do it. Because you've already thought out all the different forks in the road that could appear. You've thought about the options. You were probably even smart and you looked up the differences. Okay, some of the things that I did, leasing a car. What are the good things about lease? What are the bad things about lease? I looked that stuff up. When you are confident in your decision based on your findings, your research, your finances, your emotional connections, and all of that stuff, you don't need approval. And you certainly don't stammer over your words. The gut instinct of this father is he's making a bad decision. And you should always, well, I'll never say always, because you never say always and you never say never. Most times, you should go with your gut instinct.
Because he could sell it right after you hand it to him.
Yeah, he could. He could.
That's the term.
I don't think he would.
No. I don't. He could sell it, and Dad says I don't think he would. You know what? How many parents have been financially taken, either intentionally, unintentionally, when they swore, when the kid said, "Oh, I'm going to pay you back that student loan. I'm going to pay you back for that car note," and the kid doesn't. If the father is going to make a good decision, the father needs to stand up and be a father and take accountability and quit saying things like, well, he could, sort of, kind of. Nah. This is where parents get themselves into trouble. A parent that is financially, indecisive. Financially indecisive. They're not sure. The father is trying to convince himself that the decision he's making is a good one. But then he's got that little devil on the shoulder going, nah, wrong decision.
My thing was if it was gifted to me and my brother by my mom, she claimed it to us 10 years ago. So we have.
You weren't 18.
Well, no,
okay.
But if
why
we
is
sold
this dad trying so hard to convince himself? It's almost like, why did you call into the show? This is one of those calls I would almost have to say, why did you bother calling in? You are trying so hard. He is trying so hard to convince himself, to convince, the host that his way is right. If he is that convinced, because what's happening is Ramsey and Ken, of course, this is predominantly by Ramsey right this moment, they're trying to show him all the traps, all the pitfalls. If you want to learn how to manage your money and you want to be successful at it, something I've learned is you don't make an excuse for the pitfalls. Instead, you honestly look at it, You evaluate it. You decide if that is a risk that you want to take. Or you decide, or you find a way to mitigate that risk, so it's not as risky. Kind of like with me leasing a car. One of the risks, and I'd heard it 100 times, oh my goodness, they're going to get you on every door ding, okay? I think it's blown up a lot more than what it really is, okay? But how did I solve that? Hey, guess what? I can have built into my policy walk away wear and tear. There, problem solved. But this dad is trying so hard to convince them that his idea is good. Here's another thing. Here's another way to look at it. So he says this house was passed down to his, from his mom through the quick claim deed, yada, yada. It's kind of like this. The son may not even want the house. Okay, the dad seems to have a sentimental value to the house, which I respect and I understand. But just like Dave said, the son could technically, once that house is turned over to the son, if the son wants to sell it the next day for dope, not saying he would do that. Okay, but hypothetically, he could just turn around and sell it. What's dad going to do? He just gave the entire house to his son. The son didn't really want the house. The son wants the money, right? The son is unmotivated. An unmotivated person isn't looking to take care of a house that was built in the 60s, looks like it was from the 80s, and needs a whole bunch of work, what we might refer to as a fixer-upper. So the dad's wanting to give out his emotional heart. I kind of look at it like this. You know how it deals with ladies, okay? Unless you're a guy and you like to wear a wedding dress. Hey, this is an open challenge. You do you, boo-boo. You do you, okay? But it's kind of like when mother will save her wedding dress for her daughter. Even though the daughter, years, decades later may look at it and go, I really don't want it. Could we turn the piece of fabric into maybe a cute little pillow, or perhaps, tie it into a little piece of lace somewhere. Okay. Forcing what is of sentimental value to you, where you think the son's going to go, oh yes, this house has been passed down for generations. I shall take on the helm at my $18.50 an hour job on a house that was built in the 60s that needs tens of thousands of dollars worth of work, not to mention the coding upgrades. Let's think about that, people. All the code upgrades. Whew. That air conditioning system. I got to deal with that sometime at this point, in my place even. That electrical system. Oh, think of the nightmare code upgrades, okay? The father is wanting to give the son the house on sentimental. I don't see an 18-year-old son wanting to look at that and go, oh, okay, I'll keep that. And then spending tens of thousands to get it up to code. Because any sort of renovation that's going to be done on it is going to have to be built based on current day code. This kind of reminds me, okay, we're all taking a little fork in the road here, okay? This reminds me, true story, because I was in my 20s, all right? And I was in my first apartment away from my boyfriend because we had broken up. So I was living in Salem, Oregon, in my first apartment, and my mother had my late mother could be very sentimental with furniture. So she's like, I would really like to, drive 2 hours. Actually, it was an hour, about an hour and a half. I would like to drive from Eugene to Salem, Oregon, about an hour, okay, respectively. I'd really like to drive and give you the desk that I had as a child and the chair and all that. And I'm like, okay, sure, Mom, no problem. All right. So she pulls into my apartment with the chair and the desk. I'm telling you guys, when I tell you it looked horrible, it looked really, really bad, really, really bad. Okay. This was probably about, at least, if I was 25, this piece of furniture was probably about 35, 40, probably about 45, pushing 50 years old. And we ain't talking antique pieces. Okay. And I kid you not, they pull up with it. And one of the neighbors comes over as my parents were unloading it. Well, the neighbor didn't know that we were unloading it to put it into my place. She thought we were hauling out. She looks at it, my neighbor goes, oh, so I see you're getting rid of your junk. And my mother just looked at her. I died, okay? Because to my mother, this was totally sentimental. I didn't have the heart to tell her I didn't want it, but I wasn't going to break her heart. So I just went ahead and took it, all right? And then they left, went bye-bye, and guess where it wound up? I wound up dumping it. See, what is one person sentimental to your children may not hold that same sentimental value. And that's something we have to think about. And that's something this father should think about. I think the dad should keep it, renovate it himself. That's what I think the dad should do. And when the son's 25 years old, he could always rent it out if he wants to be a landlord, or he could just turn around and flip it. Or he could keep it. And when the son's 25 years old, if he's proven to be responsible enough and all of that stuff, then turn over part of it to the son, perhaps. Either some or all of it. But either way, I would not give this child the house and the keys to the kingdom.
But it would all be, capital gains, every bit of it. If I give it to him, if it's his if he holds it for 2 years, then he could sell it as his primary residence, and that capital gains would be gone.
He's not going to want the house. I'll bet you $1. Yeah, I'll bet you $1. He doesn't want the house. He's going to want the money that the house brings. So if I'm not interested in the house, I'm only interested in the money. Guess what? I'm not going to spend any money renovating it. If he thinks the house looks kaput now, it's going to really look kaput.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have capital gains on it, though. Unless did you get it as an inheritance, or did she give it to you prior to death?
She just private. Mom's still living, but she just deeded it. She deeded it to.
Yeah, you are right then. You've analyzed that properly then. Yeah,
I wouldn't do it if I were you. I'm trusting you.
I would.
You would?
Yeah, I'd give it to him.
I would give it to him, sure, but don't be upset when it's sold immediately. Just don't be upset. I wouldn't give it to him at all. I agree with Ken. I wouldn't give it to him all. But if you're going to just say, hey, son, here's the house. And he goes, oh, good. How much is it worth? About $100,000. And it's sold immediately. All right.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm going to put some terms on it. Here's my terms.
Okay.
I want to hear this.
Okay. I want him to have a plan.
Yes.
For his life.
Right.
And for the renovation of the property.
It ain't going to happen, Dave. This is not going to happen. He works where his mama works. He's got no drive that we can tell of. This kid is not going to be the type that goes, you know what? Let me take a moment here. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to map out the next 5 years. Why do I think this kid is lucky if he can just get up the next day and get to work and clock in on time?
Right.
That's his sign that and the third thing is he promises never to borrow any money.
Yep, I agree with that.
So I want to see a plan for renovation. I want to see a plan for your life. And you sign a letter that says, I promise Dad, Uncle, and Granny I'm never going to borrow money.
No, that's not going to hold. I mean, you can go through the motions of give me your plan, but what are you going to do if the plan doesn't come to fruition? Is there going to be some sort of penalty? See, a plan that for a child or adult, okay, I know he's adult. A plan for a kid that has no penalty or teeth behind it, it means nothing. Sometimes my mother used to look at me because I used to have depression problems as a kid. And she'd be like, Carrie, what's the problem? You've been moping around this house for hours. What's the problem? I'd make some crap up just to get her off my case. I really would. This kid can do the same thing. 18-year-olds ain't dumb. We will write what we will say. We will do what you want to hear just to get you off our case. And that's just the truth.
I'm going to use this as a way to become wealthy. I'm going to live here. I'm going to renovate it. I'm going to sell it for $300,000 or $400,000 in 3 or 4 years after I fixed it up and pay no capital gains on it. Meantime, I'm going to have a career and I'm going to go do something and be somebody.
Okay, that's great, Dave. But here's what I would also include before he could have the house. He has to go through Financial Peace University. He has to take on 6 months steady of paying bills before I would even sign over. You're in charge of electric bill, the water bill, yada, yada. You're going to take on 6 months of that. You have to go through Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey. I've never been through Financial Peace, but as long as Dave Ramsey's saying give it to him, I think we should include that too. If he goes, oh, no, I don't want to take Financial Peace. That's too much work. There's your sign.
Yeah, I don't want him 38 years old working. I don't want him 38 years old still working there.
He will be 38 years old still working there. He got a job where his mom is at. Okay?
I want him to go do something
yeah.
with his life. Don't you?
Yeah, I do too. But
See, there's that. But Jesus, sorry. This is the type of father I bet could come up with a whole lot of excuses when his son fails. Because really, I'll be totally honest. At the beginning of the show, he really was talking about his son like, I'm thinking this is just a great kid. And it's not because he didn't say he wasn't going to go to college. You can be a great kid, driven and all of that. You're not going to go to college, but you're going to take a different route. But you're driven. But the first few sentences about his son, I mean, the dad, I was like, going, well, this just sounds like a terrific kid. Gonna be honest, it's probably the type of kid I won't say I wouldn't want, but I would hope my kid was more driven. That's all. But like I said, he was just talking about his kid like this is just an outstanding kid. And I was like, oh, wonderful. I don't quite think that anymore.
Hey, Bill.
Today's 18.
Let me ask you this.
18-year-old boys just don't have that drive
Yes,
anymore.
they do.
Or a lot of them
Some do.
Just in this call, how many times has the father made excuses for his son as to why he should give his son the easy route by just handing him a house? Okay? This is the type of father, I'm going to say it. This is the type of father whose son could commit a crime and you got the parent going, but, okay? This is the type of father who I think has a difficult, he admits that his son's not the most driven, but the father doesn't seem to connect that it really takes a certain amount of drive to want to be a homeowner and to want to do renovations and to possibly pick up a second job to do those renovations. This is not as easy as here's a house, okay, and you make $18.50 an hour, go fix it.
It's not about this generation. It's about the person and the environment. My question is, do you think your son, be really honest, do you think your son will honor that agreement that Dave laid out? I like that agreement. Do you think your son will honor it?
Yes, I do.
Of course he's going to say yes. Were we expecting anything different? But yet, did you notice Ken kind of point out what I said? It's like, sometimes we paraphrase, okay? But really, I'm like, if he doesn't honor it, what's the penalty? If there is no penalty other than don't ask us for money, oh no, we're not going to give it to you, which goes in keeping with the show anyways, okay, about families lending money. All right. What's the penalty if he doesn't honor it? Dear mom, dad, grandma, I promise that I will yada, yada, yada. Okay. Lick the envelope shut, certify it, send it off. What's going to be the penalty if he doesn't do it? I would not want a house willed to me that I didn't want to maintain and hold on to the financing as far as trying to repair it. Not everybody wants a house handed to them because we as adults understand the responsibility that goes with it. So not everybody wants a house handed to them. And we definitely don't want a house from the 1960s handed to us that's worth $100,000, which tells me it's in pretty dilapidated shape. I'm sorry, but this ran just earlier today. So if a house, not a condo like I have for $100,000, a house. If a house is only worth $100,000 today, this is in Indianapolis, so we're not talking, some city out in, the boondocks. It's only worth $100,000. This place is probably pretty dilapidated.
Okay.
I'd like to see him have some more hardship. I don't disagree with Dave's conditions. I love Dave's deal, but I'd like to see an 18-year-old have to work hard, save for something. Giving him that is a big leap forward.
Might let him live there for a year rent-free with the promise of giving it to him if he does a couple of these things.
I want him to do something hard.
Yeah, let's put a little skin in the game.
Here's the thing. A year is not enough time to put skin in the game, in my opinion. It's not. Part of what grows us is enough years with life experience. To simply say, well, in 12 months from the ages of 18 to 19, you will have all the life experience you need. Oh, hell, you got people it can take a decade for them to get the experience that they need. I think it shouldn't even happen until he's near his mid-20s. Really. You know, he needs to go through the girlfriend breakup. He needs to go through, just whatever. Legal issues, whatever. It's not, growing up is not as simple as just saying, well, from 18 to 19, whatever happens during that time period, that's going to be sufficient. It's not. It's not sufficient.
Yeah. But I'm old like that.
None of this is anything except I want this to be a blessing and not a curse.
Yes.
It's a curse if he says, since I don't have rent, I don't have to work much and I don't have to work hard.
And that's the track that a non-motivated kid would use. Dad just handed me a house.
That's what I'm
I can sit here in the old wood paneling and drink beer all weekend.
That's right.
And that's worse than having sent him to school to drink beer for 3 years. So,
what is it they say that sometimes you it's not handicap. What is the word when somebody is helping someone else? You don't mean to hurt them, but you're kind of, I can't think of the word. Okay, it's you're helping them with their you're enabling them. That's the word. You're enabling. This deal here could very well be what enables the son to continue being lazy. Whereas if the dad keeps the house, flips it in his own, this is what I think the dad should do. Just keep the house, sell it, hold the money, and tell your son, hey, you know what? When you're 25, you know what? We got $100,000 here sitting for you if you do these things with your life. But here's the other thing also. I don't think parents, this is the flip side, I'm going to look at the other side. Parents should not put such incredible conditions on their kid that in order to get the money, you have to do this. Because you're going to have some kids that go, F it, keep your money. I don't want to be dictated to. So there has to be a balance, a kind of a fine line. All right, you guys, I had a little bit of a camera technical glitch there at the end. It's Sunday, so we are not doing a double feature tonight, as it is my bedtime as well as yours. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Thank you so much for joining me for this Sunday evening's bedtime story. I hope you will consider subscribing. You guys have yourself a wonderful rest of your Sunday night. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.